Good evening, folks. So here we are at Thursday night, okay? And uh, we're going to talk a little bit about the playoffs, where we are with the playoffs, you know, how it looks for the Fever, what they have to do to get in, because there's still a battle in front of us, okay? So they have 6 games left as of tonight. They have the Fever and the Sparks tomorrow night. Um, that that is a must win. Okay, that is a must win game. I know it's away and it's tough to win away games, but that's a must win. They have the Valkyries on Sunday, the 31st. They have the Mercury Tuesday, September 2nd. They have the Sky in Indianapolis on Friday, September 5th. They have the Mystics on the 7th. And they have the Lynx on September 9th. Now, so here's the story, okay? The 2 teams that have already clinched playoff berths are the Lynx and the Aces. Okay, the Las Vegas Aces have won like 12 straight games, and they have already clinched their playoff spots. The teams that are in a strong position to take playoff spots are the Atlanta Dream, the Phoenix Mercury, which a team that we play on September 2nd, and the New York Liberty. Now, let's go back to the beginning of the year, okay? When Caitlin Clark came back from an injury, it was I think it may have been very early in the season. The Liberty had been 9-0 before they faced the Fever. And it was actually the Fever that delivered their first loss of the season. Back when they were 9-0, we were convinced the Liberty was going to be the number 1 seed. Well, it hasn't turned out that way. They're still battling for a playoff spot. But that was the game that Caitlin Clark came back from 5 games missed. She came in to play the Liberty. And I just want to remind everybody what she did in that game. She had 32 points, 25 points in the first half, the most in her career in the first half of any game. She hit 5 3-pointers. She scored at one point, she scored 9 points in 33 seconds. She had 9 assists and she had 8 rebounds. It was a massive game for Caitlin Clark, okay? And the New York Liberty left with a 9-1 record that day. So, strong position, Atlanta Dream, Phoenix Mercury, New York Liberty, okay? We don't play, we play the Mercury on September 2nd. We don't play the Liberty anymore, and we don't play the Dream anymore, okay? Now, these are the teams that are battling for the last 3 spots. The Seattle Storm, the Valkyries, who we do play on August 31st, Sunday, this coming Sunday. The Fever, the LA Sparks, and we are playing them tomorrow night. As I said, that is a must win. And the Mystics on September 7th. Frankly, the Mystics are almost out of it. So that's a must win also. It is. I've looked at stuff out there, how many they need to win in order to guarantee themselves a playoff spot. And most sources are saying 2 to 3 games out of the last 6 have to be won. One source said 4 games, but the majority of the places that I looked for all of this stuff, including ESPN and all of those spots, were saying 2 to 3 games have to be won. And, you know, some of these other teams, like the teams that are playing this evening, have to cooperate and help us out if they can, okay? So tonight's games, the Mystics at the Liberty, Seattle Storm against the Lynx, Chicago Sky against the Mercury. Chicago wins, they help us out. The Lynx beat the Storm. And the Liberty beat the Mystics. Maybe they help us out if they win, okay? Right now we are hanging on to 6th place, okay? So then on to Caitlin Clark and her potential return. Everybody out there that's talking about the most likely scenario now is talking about September 5th at Gainbridge Fieldhouse against the Sky. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, that's the rumor out there now. And the way I look at it is if the Fever are by then have clinched a spot, then you will see Caitlin Clark back. I believe you will see that. I still think she's the kind of person that comes back even if she's just finishing out the season, because that's who Caitlin Clark actually is. But we'll have to wait and see. We're in a wait and see mode. We've been in a wait and see mode for most of the season. There is no massive cover up going on. It's just the injury, okay? So a couple other things caught my eye today as I was tooling around looking for stuff to talk about tonight, because there's no game tonight, obviously. So ESPN has ranked the most dominant players under 25 in the WNBA, okay? And guess who was number one? Our girl, Caitlin Clark, okay? Caitlin Clark was number one. Paige Bueckers, number two. Number three, this should quiet the naysayers out there. Aaliyah Boston, deservedly. Number four, Dominique Malonga. Number five, Angel Reese. Number six, Sonia Citron. 7, Camila Cardoso. 8, Rakia Jackson. 9, Cameron Brink. And 10, Kiki Iriafen. So those are the top 10. But Caitlin Clark is number one. And this is what ESPN had to say about the number one best player under 25 years old. And I'm quoting this exactly. Due to injury, she has been limited to 13 games this season, averaging 16.5 points, 8.8 assists, and 5.0 rebounds. But when healthy, Clark's impact is enormous. She stretches the floor with her shooting range, pushes the pace, and picks defenses apart with her passing. The 23-year-old brings an unmatched excitement factor every time she's on the court, and her confidence spreads to the whole team. She is also the biggest draw on the road of any WNBA player, so her effect on the entire league is huge. End quote. That's about as accurate a description of Caitlin Clark as I have ever seen. And I was really, really happy to see her in the number one spot, because that's where she belongs. Now, I'm going to give Paige Bueckers flowers because she's a great player, but she's not Caitlin Clark. And she's not a better rookie than Caitlin Clark was at this time last year, okay? In fact, up until recently, Paige Bueckers has hardly received any defensive attention at all, which has contributed to her numbers, okay? I have to say that as a rookie, Caitlin Clark was, literally swarmed every time she stepped on the court, and she managed to break 62 records as a rookie. So I don't want to hear the nonsense that Paige Bueckers is a better rookie. That's stuff that's being made up by Paige Bueckers' fan base, okay? That's another thing that caught my eye today, and that was very exciting. I will put this article in, obviously, in the description. And then there was a headline out there that caught my eye. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, you ready for this? So I've heard rumors, and I haven't been able to substantiate them yet because I haven't had the time to, but I will take a look at this later on. I've heard rumors that after Nike dropped Caitlin Clark's logo, after she dropped the logo last night, I mean, in the last game, that Nike sales shot through the roof. One source had their sales going up 90%. I don't know that that's accurate, but I will look into that. But one thing that did happen was announced today. This was the headline. The Stanley 1913 brand teams up with basketball superstar Caitlin Clark to launch a powerhouse partnership. So this will be, I'm going to show you this. This is pretty cool. So this is going to be Caitlin Clark teaming up with the Stanley 1913, the Caitlin Clark collection. It arrives September 3rd at 9 a.m. Okay. And there's all kinds of things here. There's a Stanley 1913, Caitlin Clark Quencher. Stanley 1913, Caitlin Clark Quencher Pro Tour Flip Straw Tumbler. Stanley 1930 Ice Flow Flip Straw 2.0 bottle, and the Stanley 1913 Caitlin Clark Ice Flow Flip Straw jug. I tell you, she's a marketing powerhouse. And this is just the beginning. You see right here, you can, as soon as they arrive, you can click on that and get your name on the list to be notified that they're out there. I mean, these things, when they were first introduced, I don't know, everybody had to have them. I mean, I work at a hardware store. We don't carry them in the store because where we are in the store, we don't sell a lot of that kind of consumery stuff. We're just a nuts and bolts hardware store, but you can order them online and have them delivered to the store for pickup. And I'll tell you, when they were first introduced, people were ordering them like crazy. This is just the beginning for her. I believe these will carry the new logo. And like I said, the sky is the limit for Caitlin Clark when it comes to this stuff. It's just beginning. And there is no other player in the league, past or present, that has this kind of marketing power. And I will say it again. The WNBA ought to get on the bandwagon in a big way. Because, as I said before, Caitlin Clark will drag this league into the limelight, whether it wants to come. She'll drag it out here, kicking and screaming if she has to. But she will not be stopped, okay? People who think that, she's just, and she's just a kid. She's 23 years old, okay? But she's a smart kid. And she knows exactly what she wants, and she knows how to go out and get it. And that includes, I promise you, on the basketball court. So that's what I've got tonight. A look at the playoff picture. It's tough. It is. We have to win a lot of these games, 2 to 3 games. Honestly, I think we're at the 50% level. I don't think we can worry about winning 2. I think we have to win 3. And again, it gets easier if some of these teams lose tonight, okay? It will get easier if some of these teams help us out by losing tonight's games. As I said, the games tonight, let me see if I can find that list again. I have notes all over the place here. Tonight's games, the Mystics at the Liberty. I believe the Liberty can beat the Mystics. They are playing in New York. The Mystics are hanging on at the very bottom of the list. The Storm against the Lynx. The Lynx should be able to beat the Storm. And the Mercury at the Chicago Sky versus the Mercury. I don't know. Chicago is lottery bound. So I don't know about that one, but we have to beat the Mercury during this last 6-game cycle as well. So if the Chicago Sky is already lottery bound, be nice of them if they could beat the Mercury tonight. That might help us out. I don't know that they will, but that would be welcome. So what we're going to do tomorrow is probably address some questions that have come into me in comments and in email. And one of them is one that I owe from like a month ago. So that'll be something we talk about tomorrow morning. Okay. And that's what I got tonight. It's a slow night here. But like I said, the word on the street, and this is what I've heard in several different sites, is that it looks like September 5th is the projected return game for Caitlin Clark, and we shall see. Personally, from my perspective, this is the way I look at it. The Fever have been snake bit all year, okay? Whether they make the playoffs or not, they've given this a good shot, okay? And yes, it would have been nice if they could have played more consistently, but let's face it. They're missing Caitlin Clark, and they're missing their regular guards. And I believe that the guards who have been signed as hardships have done the best that they can. It is tough to play, patch up basketball. Because as I've said to you, one of the biggest problems all year long has been consistency. And not just consistency of the team's performance, but consistency in the way Stephanie White manages the team. We need a starting 5 rotation, period. We need a starting 5, the same 5 that are out there every game, okay? And then we need a contingency of replacement players who comes out every game. And then beyond that, those other players who are on the bench are fill-in players. But it looks to me like the way I look at it is like this. Okay, Stephanie White has had no choice but to patch together rotations with the injuries, right? But even at the beginning, she was patching together rotations, and that's a problem. Consistency is everything in basketball, okay? All of everything you need for a team to gel comes from being managed consistently. And I think that's her biggest flaw, is she doesn't manage consistently. And she certainly isn't strong in player development either. They've got to get Michaela Timpson time. Maybe there's something they can do with her over the off season to help develop her. But she's going to be a great basketball player if they pay attention to her. And I get that down the stretch in the playoffs, it's difficult to fit somebody in who's a rookie. But honestly, should their playoff hopes fade, they need to put Michaela Timpson in the ball game and let her play more than 4 minutes at a whack. So all of this is just my take on the way the team is run. I have said repeatedly that I'm not a fan of Stephanie White's basketball management style, but I have also said repeatedly that she's been dealt a raw deal this year. And just because I say that doesn't mean I think she's a great coach. So people should not jump to that conclusion. What I'm stating is an actual fact. Okay? Clearly, she's not the coach of the year, no matter how you look at it. But I certainly would not want to be in Stephanie White's shoes. So that's where we are tonight, gang. And I will talk to you tomorrow. I will get a video up before I go to work. I'm not in till noon tomorrow. I got some stuff to take care of in the morning early. So I will definitely address some of the channel's regulars questions that they have sent me. And I will talk to you soon.